Yo, what's up? This the Edge once again, Create Life Podcast. You know, we like to focus on those 5 pillars: mindset, self-mastery, financial freedom, community networking, lifestyle, leisure. Today I got a special guest. This right here mean a lot to me because we got somebody coming from Immokalee, Florida that's actually broken down a lot of barriers and made it into that comedy world. Josh Prey.
I appreciate that. Say that
Comedian
means a lot.
Josh Prey.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here in Miami. It's a very dope environment. Thank you so much for bringing me on.
Man, we got to bring you on. You know, we always got to, the whole thing is about reaching back, and just knowing what it took for you to get there. Because I know personally that it's not easy.
Of course.
And we both grew up in the same area. I'm a little older than Josh. Sports is usually the way.
Yes, sir.
But you chose a different path. And for somebody that's come up around a community that gets behind football, worship football and sports, for you to say, I want to be a comedian. Like, where did that get started? Or who prompted that?
Okay, well, let me just first say that it wasn't football, it was Edgerrin. We wanted to do what Edgerrin James was doing. So being modest is cool and stuff, but it's okay for me to give you your flowers. Bible says it's okay for me to brag for you. We wanted to do what Edgerrin James was doing. But as far as comedy, my mama is real funny. Y'all got to check out my mom's online content. I try to put into the game. But my mom was real funny, so I stuck with that. I wanted to be a pastor growing up my whole life because I wanted to impress my mother. My mom's a pastor. And somehow comedy just became a part of me probably around 11, 12 years old. And I always made people laugh. I always wanted to make people laugh. And I'm very shy. And I felt that being loud keeps people away from you. But by being loud, it's invited people into my space. So it worked out for the better.
So you mentioned you want to be a pastor. So
I did.
Being a pastor, you're not supposed to use profanity. As a comedian, do you use profanity?
I like to say, so I wanted to be a pastor. It wasn't my calling. Maybe in a couple more years. I like to say I'm Sinbad if Sinbad cursed. So if you know who the comedian Sinbad is, if he said curse words sometimes, that would be Josh Prey.
Josh Prey, the pastor, the future pastor. Right now, he's the present comedian.
Preach.
Okay, I like that. No, but I like the fact that you got it laid out. You got a route. That's a good route. So we're gonna see the transformation. And I'm quite sure you're gonna do well. To become a comedian, it takes a certain type of mindset. It's certain things that you have to have in you and say, man, this is something I'm gonna do. Like, what's the mindset of Josh Prey saying, I'm gonna just be this comedian no matter what, and this is how I'm gonna make my living?
So in 2013, I was in the educational system. Didn't work for me. I went to school, got a teaching degree, thought it's what I wanted to do. Realized it wasn't what I wanted to do, and you probably don't even remember this. I called you before my first comedy show in 2014, and I was going to have a show in Immokalee, Florida, where we from, and I wanted to talk to Benji Brown because I knew you have a relationship with Benji Brown, and you took the conversation. You actually spoke to him for me, which I say thank you again. You did a lot that you don't know about, but as far as getting into the mind state of it, it's trying to make everybody laugh all at once, all at the same time, without being disparaging. A lot of my humor and my comedy is never negative and putting people down. I try to uplift and encourage at all times.
Okay, I like that. My man, Josh, it's just funny sitting right here. I'm on the other side looking at my man. This was little Josh that was running around. Now, big Josh.
I mean, listen, man, you have to grow up sometimes. You have to find your way. And this was my way. And right now, it's kind of working for me. So I think it's the plan God had for me.
So you say kind of working for you. Like, what's in the works for Josh Prey?
Well, I got things I want to do. I wanted to be retired by 40. I turned 40 last year, so I'm behind. I'm actually frustrated with it, but I want to get off the social media side of it. I want to start doing TV shows and film a little bit more, and I definitely want to make a living off of the road, live stand-up comedy more often than not.
So when you say you want to make that change or that switch, what steps are you going to take? Because a lot of times we want to do things and we want to go in this direction or that direction, and we need a plan. So for yourself, if you're talking to people and you're trying to give somebody advice, what's the plan?
First, you got to eliminate anybody negative and a naysayer, even if it's hard to cut off. Anybody that's going against what you got going, you got to separate yourself from them. It's going to be hard to do. And then you got to look at where you want to go and the necessary steps. So if I want to be in TV and film, I got to start taking more acting classes, and I got to surround myself with actors and people in that space, and start recording things and producing short films to create demo reels to start to stir the pot. So that's how I'm trying to transition from social media commentary to film and TV.
Now, you're pretty big on social media.
I got 5 million followers.
5 million people.
5 million total. Follow me. It's your boy Josh Prey. They follow me.
That boy from Markley.
Like,
that boy Josh Prey.
Understand that and recognize that, man. It's a big deal.
That's a real big deal. We got Josh Prey, man. He a big YouTuber. Big what else?
Big YouTuber, Facebook. I got a few 100,000 followers on TikTok. I've done some things in my life. My biggest accomplishment probably was, and it was another conversation I had with you. Again, thank you. I was signed to Barstool, so I was signed to one of the biggest media companies on earth.
You said was.
I was. So that contract expired. Shouts out to Dave Portnoy. I know he get a real bad rap, but Dave Portnoy sold his company for like $500 million. And then he didn't like the way things were being handled in some of the censorships. Excuse me. So he bought his company back. And when he bought the company back, it cost hundreds of millions of dollars to buy it back. And I'm not local to New York, and that's where the main office was. So he had to just short some contracts that weren't in the building that were costly. So and I understand it. I ain't gonna say I got cut.
In football terms, you got cut.
But when you get cut in football, I don't know if y'all get like the what is it called? The severance packages all the time.
You get all that.
So I got a nice little severance package from Barstool when they let me go. So I couldn't complain.
That's what's up, man. As long as you're in a good space and you steady moving, doing things that you love to do. My man Josh Prey, well, I'm just sitting up here like, because it's different for me because we both grew up the same way. So it's like when you're talking to an audience, you know, it's like me speaking for you or you speaking for me. Yeah. Because it's totally different. It's like, what is it like? Say, okay, you're coming from a space that nobody else has really come from, because I ventured out into the world a lot of times to say, where you from? You say, oh, Markley, South Florida. And most of the time, you know, 100% of the time, or 99%. Nobody knows. But then you look at, from a football standpoint, we had like 4 guys in the NFL at one time. You know, we've been putting guys out, and then you coming as a comedian. Yeah. Like, what's it like when you step out and you go in the world and say, okay, you're from this space. If somebody's from somewhere else, or they're from a small place, or they're from somewhere that's not really known, what advice could you give them?
Never suppress where you from. Always big up where you from. Always recognize where you from. I've been in comedy clubs where people say, this is comedian Facebook, 5 things to know out of Naples, Florida. I stopped that. I corrected. I'm from Immokalee, Florida. I got people in Ireland and Hawaii wearing shirts that say, cause I'm from Immokalee. So
you gotta give me one of them shirts, man.
So I think that's phenomenal. I think that's dope. You always gotta love where you from, even when where you from don't love you. And the thing is, I don't know, man. We got to have to switch these seats because Edgerrin, you acting way too modest, and it's easy for me to say.
But this is for you, not for me.
But the thing is, when I'm places, I can say, you ever heard of Edgerrin James? Oh yeah, Indianapolis Colts. I'm from where he from. Oh, okay. So when I say that,
so that's how you get that.
You are Immokalee, and then it's Josh Prey.
Now I can say, hey, Josh Prey. You know where Josh Prey from?
Now, definitely now. If you
That's what I'm gonna be doing.
You go to some spaces now, they'll be like, who are you, sir? Oh, I'm from where Josh Prey. Oh, I love him. Hey, some places in some areas in America.
I'm gonna start using that when they try to say, where you
better
from?
Text me every time they realize it.
No, I'm gonna FaceTime. That's how people do me. They be like, hey, he showed me that. Tell him you my cousin.
Please do that. But be humble, show humility, and always love where you're from.
You know, in a competitive space, you know, because everybody think they're funny. Everybody think they can get on YouTube.
Everybody.
You know, like, what was it about you that got that breakthrough? Or you say, okay, yeah, you know what? This right here, this guy right here is it. What separates you from the other people that's trying the same exact thing?
I wasn't scared to embrace people that may not naturally embrace us from where we from. So being from Immokalee is probably 65-70% Hispanic. And then it's probably 8 to 10% Haitian American. Then you got Native American, where the Black American piece is a very small portion. And I took the things we didn't see as a kid and I implemented myself in other communities. So I wasn't afraid to be a Black man talking about Caucasian rednecks in a way they had never heard. Without being disparaging and discouraging and being separating, I found a positive way to bridge everybody.
No, that's pretty dope. During your journey, can you share a moment where you had an obstacle or some type of adversity that you had to get over to actually move forward in this space?
So 2016 in Chicago, Illinois at Jokes and Notes Comedy Club, I didn't even get booed off stage. I was on stage for 2 minutes and the comedy club owner turned the lights on and cut my mic off. And I felt like time had stopped. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I thought I had arrived in 2016. I had like 100,000 followers. And it was just, it wasn't even humbling. It was embarrassing. And I felt like at that time, and I still feel like, don't treat a person like that. And I was discouraged, went to my hotel and I cried that night. Like nobody know, I cried in that hotel room that night.
Too old to be crying.
Listen, this was 9 years ago. I was 31 years old. I'm trying to provide for my family. This is the only way I can make money. I know, I cried. I 1,000%, like a baby. I flew to Tampa, Florida the next day and got a standing ovation.
Did you get paid for that night?
Nope. She cut my mic. I ain't get paid.
And so you had to.
I had to fly back home.
Did you have a contract?
Didn't have a contract. Didn't know the business. I thought I knew what I was doing, and I didn't. I was arrogant. Like I don't need no contract. I'm gonna go make everybody laugh. I'm gonna sell these T-shirts that I bought. Nobody bought no T-shirts. I ain't get paid. I flew back to Tampa, Florida the next day because I had a show for a church, and I got a standing ovation that night. So it went from a quarterback throwing an interception to not remembering it, forgetting it, and going to throwing a touchdown.
So one thing I'm gathering from that right there, make sure you take your business or get your business affairs in order.
100%.
Because that right there that could have prevented a lot of problems.
You said I'm too old to be crying. Hey, it's okay to cry, man. Cry and get the sad out.
I mean, you can't cry when that comes across as self-inflicted to me because
100%.
You could have prevented all those things. Take care of the business. So that's what we got to make sure. And that's the purpose of creating life. You know, it's giving people game, it's giving people information so that they don't make the mistakes.
Of course.
And from that story right there, I see that, you know, you got to make sure you take care of the business, make sure everything is lined up. If you're going to go out, especially if you're going to go in your pocket to actually have to get there.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to put on and deliver, I would call it a sermon, because the next day you had to go to church.
The next night I did a comedy show for a church.
Right.
And got a standing ovation.
So when you go as a comic, but then you go in front of church people.
Yes, sir.
It's a different type of comedy.
Nah, same comedy, no cursing.
Okay, you just remove the cuss word.
Remove the cursing. Like I can talk about sex tonight and in front of a church, instead of saying like you having sex with your man in front of the church, I'll say you're being intimate with your wife or your husband because you want to assume the congregation is married and sex is permitted between married couples. It's encouraged. So it's just changing the words.
Okay, so you got that down pat. You know, as a comedian, you know, you're always in front of an audience, you know. Like, how do you manage the stage fright or the nervousness that comes with getting in front of people?
So I would tell anybody that's pursuing the industry that I am in, being nervous is natural. Embrace that. To me, it's a great feeling. I don't like when I'm not nervous. It means that I've gotten used to stuff, and when you get comfortable, you start to slack. And I never want to slack. So stage fright is there, being nervous is there, performing in front of your friends and your family may be the most nerve-wracking thing because they know you, and you got to convince them that you are bigger than who they know you as.
So you got to get up there and be Josh Prey, but then you got to be somebody else.
100% to them.
To them, so you got to be even, so they raise the bar.
Yeah, you got to be even funnier. You got to be more in-depth with your jokes, and you got to surprise them with things they don't even know about themselves. So I would tell somebody, if you want to get into this lifestyle, always invite your friends and your families because you got to constantly reinvent yourself in front of them.
So when you're going out doing this stuff right here, and you're going out here and you have nobody there, like, so That's what I'm saying. That's where the nerves would come from, or is it before you even get out? You thinking about all the things that
On
happen?
my plane ride there, I'm nervous. I'm sick to my stomach.
But don't you have your stuff already? Don't you have your material already laid out?
I probably got 4 or 5 hours of comedy in my head, but your joke is only as good as your last joke, and every joke ain't gonna hit like the last joke. It's never gonna be like you wrote it. I could tell a joke in Miami that bombs here, but does well in Tampa. That bombs in Atlanta, that does well in Texas.
All right. So what's one of the craziest experiences you ever had on the stage?
In Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, a grandma, I'm gonna call her grandma because she was older. She was in her early 70s, late 60s, brought her daughter to the stage and said, I want you to sleep with my daughter. And the daughter was dead serious. And then the grandma went to the car and got a gag ball and handed me the gag ball.
Was she nice?
Why are you like this? That was the craziest thing. I got a picture on the internet holding the gag ball.
I need to see. I'm gonna see what you turned down.
No, I ain't even. I ain't say I turned it down. I'm just telling you the crazy story.
It probably was an easy yes.
I ain't say I turned it down. I'm just saying it was a crazy story.
Josh, pray. Hey, leave the fans alone, man.
That's another thing. In this life, be sure outside of your business to understand that everything you do and everybody you come in contact with can have a story or expectation about you. So be careful who you say yes to.
But if you say no, then you're in
It's the same thing. You're in a lose-lose situation sometimes.
We got my man Josh Prey right here, University of Miami hater.
I just don't understand.
Did you graduate from Florida Gators?
I did not graduate from the University of Florida.
That's what I don't understand. I don't understand why would a person
Here we go.
that don't attend a school that people won't even accept them at the school.
Wow.
Won't let them on the campus at the school. Root against the University of Miami, and it's so much closer to home.
Because I feel like the 2008 Florida Gators is better than the 2001 Hurricanes, and I'm tired of this stupidity.
That doesn't even make sense.
I'm a Gator fan.
But that's
it's
what I'm
everything.
trying to say. Like they wouldn't even let you. They didn't even accept you.
I didn't apply to the University of Florida.
Who
I would have gotten to Miami.
It doesn't make sense. Like, okay, this is my favorite school. This is my favorite team.
Yeah.
Everything. But I'm not going to go there.
I named my youngest son after Percy Hart. My son is Percy Joshua Prey. I'm a Gator fan for real.
Man, we're going to switch subjects, man, because this doesn't even make sense, man. This man has no ties to the Gator besides his son is named after Percy. That is
Go Gators,
crazy.
man.
But, okay, I know this is what we're going to do. We're going to get back to your field. Let's get back to your field where you became an expert at.
Thank you.
And you're actually having success. You know, a lot of times, I know all the time, you get booked.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you say, okay, I'm going here, I'm not going to go there, or it has to fit your schedule. What's one of the craziest places you got booked and it made you uncomfortable, or how did that work out?
I got booked in Dublin, Ireland. Now, me being from a Markley town of 20,000 people, this blew my mind. I did a video about hurling, which is like comparable to like lacrosse in America. And hurling is everything in Ireland. I did a video, it went viral. All these people started reaching out. So then Tourism Ireland, I actually made the Irish tabloids for how much they paid to get me over there. Shouts out to Tourist Ireland.
How much you got paid?
They paid $11,000 to get me there.
I said, how much you got paid?
So then I got there. So then my paperwork was great. Paperwork was straight. I handled the business.
You see how when you start talking about finances, everybody, they go all around there. They just really cut and dry, man. Mal, keep your personal business where it's at.
So I got booked.
You got paid pretty good.
I got booked in Ireland, and I didn't understand how big this event was. It's basically the Super Bowl in Ireland, 93,000 people. And it was probably the most beautiful country I've ever visited. The air smelled better. People were nice. Food portions were smaller, but the food tastes phenomenal. The sports fans was losing their mind. And once they get a grab of you, once they get a hold of you, they don't let you go. I'm probably like Kevin Hart in Ireland.
I ain't going for that.
No. Google Josh Prey in Ireland. I swear on it. The BBC
follow for that, man.
The BBC followed me for 5 days. The BBC is one of the biggest news networks in the world.
I gotta fact check this.
Please fact check it. Hey, make sure y'all drop the clip of me in there.
We grew up in the Markley. We got a lot of them that know how to run that game.
But the internet don't lie. The internet don't. And you can find an article about how upset they was when they found out.
I believe you, man. Like, I'm pulling for you. Why you ain't invite me, man? Why you ain't be like, okay, let me get my boy to come over there, man?
I don't know. You might get flight sick. I don't know. You ever traveled that far?
I know how to move around.
I don't know if you ever been to Ireland?
I'm always outside.
No, did you see when you start asking questions back and forth, they try to protect their privacy. Have you ever been to Ireland?
Man, I've been a lot of places.
Have you ever been to Ireland?
No.
Okay, see, he ain't traveling like me.
I have no reason to go.
Edgerrin James ain't traveling like me.
That's why I said, I'm not what?
You ain't traveling like Josh Prey.
This my man.
And they flew me first class.
He flying first class.
I was asleep on the Delta One. They gave me a steak.
You laid out?
Laid out.
Feet up?
I lost my mind. They were speaking languages I couldn't even understand.
That's what I'm talking about. See, we got my boy from the I, man, that done slid over to Ireland, represent. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
You see, you let these little young boys, they let them get them a little lane, they're going to take advantage of it now.
Nah, London, Germany, Ireland,
Look at
beautiful spots. You know what I'm saying? Hawaii is probably the prettiest place I ever performed at.
No, that's what, see what I'm saying, man? You can be from anywhere, man.
And make it, of course.
My man just found his own lane, made it out the I, made it to the big I, which is Ireland.
You know, Ireland, you know what I'm saying?
But he bigger than Kevin Hart.
Listen, I'm Kevin Hart in Ireland. I'm like y'all don't understand. People will kill for me in Ireland.
I'm going to look that up. So, when the last time you been there?
That was the last time I've been there, 2019.
Oh,
no,
man.
but wait.
Big.
But wait. The reason, so I had a tour booked for 2020, and we were selling tickets, and then COVID happened. And when COVID happened,
stop your momentum.
It stopped everything. And this is another thing about creating the life. When you're creating the life, you got to be able to deal with adversity, because COVID took a lot of wind out of my sail, because I was about to shift from the internet to live comedy. Right. And I seen all this money I was going to make, and when it disappeared, I kind of lost motivation for it. But that's not creating the life I wanted to live. I got in my own head about it. So you got to make sure to overcome adversity, and things are going to happen.
I agree. You know, in creating life, we always like to talk about financial freedom, you know. And
yes, sir.
You're in a space where you're a true entrepreneur.
100%.
You know, as an entrepreneur, you know, what's some advice you give to somebody that you see trying to become and go in that space from a financial aspect? Because you don't have accountants, you don't have all these things lined up when you get started.
Yeah.
So how do you go about that?
I definitely tell three things. I tell somebody, do not pocket watch. Don't worry about what nobody else is earning, because what they're earning isn't making you rich or making you broke. Number two, save 70% of everything you earn. You gotta
Why 70?
It's just a good number. So one of my favorite rappers is Andre 3000, and he said a line. He was like, when you're investing, promise to save 70% of everything so your kids can have money. And for me, that was just a good number. A real good friend of mine named Lorenzo Brown, real good friend, he gave me the same advice about saving and not spending. When I first came out, and this is a number I can say, when I first started making money on Facebook, I was averaging between $25,000 and $40,000 a month from Facebook. And I had never seen no money like this in my life. I didn't even understand taxes. I thought I was gonna still be taxed at 19%.
They just cut you the check.
They send you a $40,000 check every month. They don't take no taxes out of it. So I was making 40 from them. I was making like 10 from YouTube. I'm making this money, and I'm thinking, I had just came from the Mark Island Marriott making $13 an hour. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get taxed at 19%. When Uncle Sam came to get their money, they wanted all the money. But I wasn't saving like I was gonna get taxed. Me being from where I'm from, you being from where you from, the first thing we want to do is take care of our mama. That's the first thing. So I just start taking care of my mama, trying to look out for everybody around me. And I didn't save like I needed to save. But later on, a few years later, when I start getting my checks, 60, 70% save. I don't touch nothing else. So if you're into entrepreneurship, save your money. Deprive yourself of things. If you can't buy it twice, don't buy it once. Leave it alone.
I like that. Think of my man kicking that game down. You were collecting them checks. I didn't know you was collecting them checks like that.
I was collecting them checks like that. Then Mark Zuckerberg started realizing I was about to buy property next to him, and kind of reduce that money by a whole lot. But I was almost there though. I'll get back to it.
So when you was making that money, when that money started coming,
yeah,
sometimes we lose ourselves. So what was one of your craziest purchases?
In 2003, it was a guy in my class named Edgerrin. He had a 745. And me being and it's just the truth, me being a young black dude from Immokalee, I always felt I could never afford that. So I used to always want that car. So on a Sunday, I called my homeboy Lorenzo. And Lorenzo, this one from the dude. He said, buy the car today. He said, ball today and save tomorrow. He said, get back to it tomorrow, but buy it. You earned it. So I bought a 750 M Series BMW for $42,000 cash.
And that was your biggest purchase?
That was the biggest purchase I ever made in my life.
Young brother coming through?
Yeah. And it was probably the dumbest purchase because 4 or 5 days after having it, I realized it's just a car.
But you still got it out your system.
I got it out my system. Yeah. I wanted nothing else.
But when you go through financially, okay, with the finances, you know, it's like a catch-22. At first you want to, you know, culturally we like to go out and show that we get into the money. We flexing.
Yeah.
And we're going to stunt. We're going to do all those things. But then with that comes people asking for money.
Yep. And I did not know how to say no.
So how did you deal with that part? Did you, you know, sometimes you be like, wow, I'm making this money. You want to tell somebody. And you start telling people. Then all of a sudden the word gets around in the family or close friends. Like, how did you deal with that aspect of it?
So my mama could ask for anything. My mama could ask for my kidney right now. She could have it. That's my mama. Sisters and brothers, they really ain't asked. Help with a couple bills here and there, whatever. Outside of that, it was hard to say no because when you come up with people, you understand how people don't have. So it's hard to say no to people. I said no to nobody. In 2019, I probably gave out $84,000. And I was disgusted in 2020 when I seen it on my Cash App, which is why I have no money apps. I have no money apps.
Forced them plays at your hand.
Yeah. So it was hard to say no, but once you lose it, once that well goes dry and you realize people disappear around you, then when you get it again, it's easy to say no.
So now that you're a little bit smarter financially.
Yes, sir.
It's like now when you circle the block and you start making this acting money, this movie money.
Yeah.
What you gonna do different?
I bought a house. I wasn't stupid. In 2021, I bought a house. So I got that. I own my vehicles. I got a son, my 18-year-old son. Shouts out to Emory Prey. He's going to Air Force for football, Division I. So we ain't got to pay for college. I'll probably invest a little bit smarter in the stock market and just save because I need nothing.
When you say stock market, that's one thing a lot of times the first thing a person says, I'm going to invest in, I'm going to stock market, I'm just not. But what about the educational part or piece that most people lack learning about the stock market? It's like, so how you going to go about, what make you say I'm going to go to the stock market?
In 2020, when COVID hit and my checks went from, and I'm just being honest, when my checks went from $40,000 to $25,000 to $10,000, $11,000 a month, I learned about the stock market when we was on lockdown. So that's all I did was YouTube stock market plays, and I understood it in 2020. Self-taught. Downloaded the app. I don't know why it's skipping my mind. Starts with an R. I'm going blank right now. But downloaded the app, did a few day trades. I learned it. I understand what I'm into. So I know $1,000 ain't gonna make me a millionaire, but I know 10,000 can make me 12 if you're healthy and you're smart about it. So I know how to watch my money a little bit better now, and I'll probably invest in properties that I can afford. You never want to overextend yourself because money comes and money goes, right? So I learned to not overextend myself.
My man, Josh Prey, that's betting on yourself. You learn how to work the stock market. You learn the game. I like that. I'm so proud of you, man. Look
I appreciate you, man.
My boy.
I never thought it was going to happen, but it happened.
Man, it's pretty cool, man. Like I said earlier, man, to see one of the guys that grew up from the same area, Josh Prey, sitting up here, he giving me game. I'm going to put me away 70% now.
Hey, if you can afford to put away 70%, and listen, to anybody watching right now, because I know we got to wrap this thing up, but to anybody watching, 70% is my number. Everybody can't afford to put away 70%. Right now, I can't afford to put away 70%, but when I can afford it, I'm doing it. All I'm saying is don't overextend yourself. Don't let people spend your money for you because people are going to encourage you, buy this, buy that, because they want to experience that. You got to learn how to say no, and in that way, you can create the life that you want to live.
You know, like when I was playing ball, you know, it's funny you say 70%. I always put 80% away. I put 80% away, and then off the other 20%, I would try not to use any of that if I could. You know, I would try to live as modest as possible and try to make sure I take care of the mandatory things. So that was my rule. I say when I'm playing. But then now that I'm not playing anymore and things kind of settled, I'll probably spend 80% and put away 20%. Because I'm outside. I like having fun. Like at some point you gotta say, man, I just want to live life and have fun, because after a while you keep saving and saving. And this is not for everybody else. You gotta,
no, of course.
You gotta travel that that journey, and you got to make sure that you position yourself to be able to do it. But I think there's life shifts, as you go and as you progress, because I can't say, okay, yeah, let me keep putting 80% away. Let me keep putting 80% away. At some point in time, it's like you got to be ready to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and that's where I'm at now. I'm in my 40s. I'm in the third quarter.
And you're in a different space, and you were one of the best players, and it's agreed upon because you're in the Hall of Fame to ever have played. So you was able to earn and do these things. In my space, if you don't laugh, I don't eat. So I got to constantly create spaces where people laugh, where they want to come see me and click on my videos and share my content so I can eat. So when you're in the NFL and you're getting these game checks, the earnings are a little bit different.
But the difference is you can do yours forever. I got a small window. But you can get what I can get.
But you can make in 10 years what I'm going to make in 60.
Kevin Hart making it. I'm just trying to tell you.
I'm going to make what Kevin Hart make in Ireland.
You just said
I might just move to Ireland.
You're bigger than Kevin Hart in Ireland. I got to see.
Listen, I ain't say bigger. I said I am Kevin Hart in Ireland. The one question, because I know we got to wrap it up though. I think I should become a part of Create the Life of One. I got to get part of this podcast. We got to do this more often.
Nah, man, you actually should come on more. You can push up on us, be involved. Because Create Life is everything life, and I want as many people to get a chance to experience it, because I get a chance to experience a lot of things and do a lot of things, but I get a lot of information that we can help and give people insight to better their lives, and that's the purpose of it. It's like a mentorship for myself and everybody that's watching.
And this last thing I say, you want to know the dopest thing? And I'm glad I can tell you this face to face. About 7-8 years ago, you used to tweet. Maybe you used to put it on Instagram. And you used to post something and you would say 1% talk. And I never understood. Well, I'm like, what does that mean? What is he talking about? And then in 2019, I made enough money that I was in the top 1% earners in America. Wow. And then it clicked. It made total sense. Now, he never put 1% talk, pay your taxes or save for your taxes, because Uncle Sam came and got their 46%, which took me out of the 1%. But thank you for encouraging us, and thank you for being motivation and something to look forward to.
Nah, but that's what it's about, man. It's about everybody giving back in their own way. There's so many people that's actually giving back. Some people get credit for it, some people don't. For myself and our whole team, man, we're trying to make sure we're reaching back, because you get to experience so much living this journey. And when you kicking down game or you giving nuggets here and there, it actually going to touch certain people.
Of course.
Because everybody don't speak the same language, and that's where a lot of the communication gets missed.
I was broke reading it, and I ain't understand it. As soon as I understood it, I knew where to go back to and say, hey, the man been talking like this forever.
And that's what it's about. Like, everybody's not going to get it. And that's the thing about it. The world is ran by the few. Crowds are made for destruction. Everybody sit up there and follow these certain things, but they're not really taking them nowhere. And the people that's actually giving you game, that's really there to help you, you kind of overlook them because it's kind of boring. It seems like it's a lecture. It seems like it's like punishment.
Yeah.
But for the people that sit down and really pay attention to it, and that's what I try to do every day. I'm never going to put out nothing negative. I'm never going to sit up there and try to diss nobody, belittle nobody, because that's not a space where I benefit, and I don't even feel right doing it. I've been fortunate, man up top been taking care of me for so long that it's like, hey, this is like a calling for you to always give people game, always give them information, but what you do with the information is up to you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to really sit down and study, or they probably don't feel like it's realistic.
Yeah. That part right there.
And that's the purpose of bringing a Josh Prey on Create the Life, because the first thing that's going to happen with myself, they're going to say, oh, well, you played ball, you got ahead. Well, if you look at the statistics, 80% of ball players usually in a bad space. So let's not use that. Okay, of course, yeah, you get a chance to getting that instant advantage if you get paid financially, but it's a lot that comes with that it's hard to even kind of prepare for, because there's so much that comes with receiving income, making a lot of money at 20 years old when you really don't even know yourself. And so the pressures of that, and that's why I don't think that's taken in consideration. So for myself, like I like to bring somebody like a Josh Prey on here. It's like, this dude, I know this dude. He came from nothing, and now you got a dude making $40,000-$50,000 a month from YouTube.
Yeah,
and right from
my living room. Didn't have to move.
And that's pretty dope. But that's what this whole thing is about. Creative Life is about bringing everybody together, giving people who don't have people in their lives an opportunity to meet people that can actually help advance them in life.
And last, just keep, and to anybody that's looking at me and want to be in entertainment, whether it's YouTube, podcasting, social media, keep grinding. Your life can change in 1 year. And I cannot express and I cannot push. You have to get rid of negative people. The closest person to you may be your biggest hater. And if you know it, you got to move around and it hurts. But you can circle back and say what's up to them. Everybody can't go the way you're going.
I like that. And that's true. Everybody can't go because it's not made for everybody anyway.
Nope.
And my last question before we get you out of here, who is your biggest influence as a comic, or who in the industry you look at and say, man, that's the guy?
Benji Brown.
Benji Brown.
Martin Lawrence is the greatest comic of all time to me, but Benji Brown out of Miami, Florida, is like, I can't even explain what I think of this man. This man is the best comic. His voices, his characters, the way he tells jokes. I performed on the stage with Benji Brown once. I did terrible. I can't wait to do it again. Benji, if you ever see this, he can go on his DM on Instagram. Years ago,
I just plug this man with Benji, man.
Yeah, I wrote on his Instagram, listen, you the great, Benji Brown is the greatest ever. Benji Brown is probably the reason I thought I could do what I did. He was the first comedy show I went to, and I think Coconut Grove in 2012. He was the first comedian I ever seen live. Benji Brown is the greatest ever. He inspires me. He actually is the reason I do comedy, my thought process, the way it is. He told me in 10 seconds how he goes through his routine, and I do what he told me to do, and I don't forget any jokes. I don't mess up. So Benji Brown is the greatest ever, and we do totally different comedy.
Man, love some Benji Brown.
Love Benji Brown. He the greatest ever.
No, that's pretty dope, man, when you got somebody that really pulling for you. And when you in a room and they not in the room, but you sit up there, let them know how much they mean to you.
Yeah, Percy Harvin, Nelly, and Benji Brown is probably the only people that'll get me starstruck.
Got one of the most odd groups.
Percy Harvin, Nelly, and I met Nelly, and I lost my mind when I met Nelly because I had to host this show, and Benji Brown. That's the only people that'll probably make me nervous.
Man, we got my man Josh Prey from the I that made something out of nothing. On Creative Life. Hey, we're going to have you come on here more. And
please.
We got to make sure as you go into as you go into the acting part, make sure you come over here and give us some love, man. Actually, give Creative Life a shout out, man. When you get on your little role, man, put on the shirt.
Listen, I got you. Shouts out to Creative Life. Thank you so much for having me. Anybody that's watching, you can follow me at Josh Prey on everything spelt correctly. I'm doing live comedy. Check Josh Prey Live for my tour dates. And if you're inspiring to be or doing what I'm doing, just keep grinding. Your life can change in 1 year.
My man, Josh Prey, Create the Life. We here.